Hello and welcome to the Kansas City Public Library's first Fireside Ghost Story reading. In September, we asked kids and teens from around Kansas City to submit original short ghost stories. We chose 2 winners to be featured here on our YouTube channel. This story was submitted by Damaris, age 14, and is a terrifying story of a monstrous creature's trap. You'll have a hard time hiding your terror as you listen to the story, The Fire. The fire roared with ferocity, the blaze licking at the wooden logs hungrily. The face of a lone child, standing by the fire, lit up with an orange silhouette of dancing flames, flickering across their skin with warmth. A younger child named Mikey shivered from the cold air, trekking through the undergrowth feebly. Mikey staggered towards the fire, eyes wide and alert. Their hair was very disheveled, and at a closer look one would notice the char mixed into the strands, and a hairline that was slightly burnt. Mikey wiped at their face, struggling to catch their breath. The taller child stepped back from the campfire and frowned at the sight of Mikey. "Did you collect the rest of the fire?" They cut themselves off, their face paling and lips sliding open ever so slightly, appearing as though they'd just seen a ghost. Mikey held the firewood in their arms. Hanging off their shoulder was an axe. "Hand me the axe," the older one whispered, holding out their hands. The faint throbbing of the fire flickered over their outstretched palms, the only light in the dark forest for a long while. Mikey did not respond, but continued to stare at the older child, or perhaps even through them. Mikey's eyes were fixated on something beyond the person standing in front of them. "The fire? Are you looking at the fire, Mikey?" the older child inquired, taking a few steps back. Their foot crunched in the leaves tossed out over the ground. Mikey's stare never ceased. Concerned, yet frightened by this demonstration, the older child backed away, the leaves shifting under the pads of their shoes until "Mikey!" screamed the older child, their chin hitting the dirt and scraping the ground as they hit the bottom of a hole. The now trapped older child crawled to the back of the hole, fear pounding in their heart as they heard a new, gravelly voice speak.
"I see you've fallen into line with my prediction."
A dark, hooded figure bent over the edge of the trap and glared down at the child. The hooded figure reached its hands up and undid the hood hiding its face. The cloth fell away in layers around its neck, but the darkness swallowed its entire face, and the child could not make out its features. "I knew we shouldn't have snuck away from the group," the older child muttered to themselves, agonized. They closed their eyes out of stark terror, trying to regulate their breathing. The next thing the older child knew, a pair of cold, slimy fingers wrapping around their arm. Scratchy nails with all sorts of disgusting material underneath dug into their skin. The older child blinked, and that was all the time it took for the tall figure to shove them into a bag. "No!" The child squirmed around inside the confined space, squealing desperately like a pig. The bag swung wildly with the poor child inside, who was trembling as the gruesome devil-like creature carried them, until it dropped, rolling on the grass. The bag twitched as the creature was untying it. The older child closed their eyes, hoping death would take them swiftly and painlessly, but something told them that whatever this creature had planned for them would not be either of those things. The drawstrings tugged open, a smiling face appearing through the tunneled hole. The eyes were small balls of misty black air swirling around its sockets, highlighted now that they were right beside the fire and the child could see all the features clearly. The gristly bones poked through the skin. Some parts of the face split open as bone penetrated the stretchy, balloon-like skin. Blood oozed out of the deep pits surrounding the bone, curling down the split canyon and dribbling down the broken face. The bone itself appeared to be cut in half on purpose. The end of the bone looked to be smooth, but they could not tell very well from the blood and red tissue blocking most of it. One corner of the bone was pointed downwards, facing the lower part of the profound trench enveloping around the chipped bones. One corner of the bone was pointed downward, facing the lower part of the profound trench enveloping around the chopped bones. It looked as though, while cutting open a part of its face, it had a slight accident, and now 2 separate bones had ended up turning inside the puncture, rolling around the tissue and jabbing through the insides of the facial structure, severely disfiguring the shape of the creature's face. The skin only swelled more with the gruesome smile that encompassed its face, and the child noted that a section of the face snapped, the skin breaking, and the top of a thin bone growing out of the fracture.
You'll be helping us out with chopping wood,
The creature rumbled, its voice low and crumbly with age. Us? The child's words dripped with sheer dread. The creature smiled again, the skin thinning out and the open fractured bones becoming more prominent with the grimace.
Yes, us.
It waved its hand forward, and the soft sounds of leaves crunching accompanied a limping figure crossing the forest. Mikey. Mikey gripped the same axe as before, and being so close to the source of the light, the poor older child, still half inside the bag, could see the eyes rolled back into Mikey's sockets. Mikey's lips were dragged into a blank line, and their skin had a rather pale sheen to it. What have you done to Mikey? The older child asked, barely able to speak the words as fear had now swallowed them whole.
The same thing that will happen to you.
The creature replied coldly with a toss of its head, followed by a malicious bout of laughter. They trapped the child by the fire.